guys, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. A lot of it is just my backstory and just showing how it takes years and years and years of things happening and really, like I said in the podcast, failing your way to success, learning from those things. And I don't even view them as failures. None of them are real failures, honestly, but it's just the analogy, right? Failing your way to success. But it takes time. I mean, it's been 15 years of the grind and hustle to get somewhere where people are starting to notice, and we've had some success. So be super, super patient. Guys, I am here with Conviction Strong Radio, Jake Walsh, Craig Heisel.
Jake Walsh, Jake. Does that ever get awkward for you
Every single time.
Good, I will keep doing it.
Hands down.
And with us today in the studio, we have a super special guest, Beav Brodie. Beav, please say hi to everybody.
What's up, everybody? I am Beav. I'm super happy to be here.
You're looking sharp today.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Beav sporting the new Gary V kicks.
Yeah, man. Gary's my spirit animal.
Beav is a friend. Beav is all about hustle, hard work, gratitude, and has built a company, Tactical Baby Gear, from literally nothing into what I view, and from what I see on the interwebs, as something wildly successful. But it's taken some time. It's taken some development. It's taken some knocks. And what we wanted to talk with Beav about today, Beav's also a family man, is kind of that journey and what we can learn from Beav, because he's all about telling the truth and sharing, and how we can balance that with our daily living practices that we like to explore on the show. So, Beav, if you don't mind, for like the 1% of the world that doesn't know what Tactical Baby Gear is or about, describe what the business is, and then we'll talk about, you and how that all developed and all that great stuff.
Sure. Well, I appreciate the intro. I appreciate that very much. All facts, so that's good. But Tactical Baby Gear, we are a diaper bag company. We manufacture and sell military-style diaper bags for men. Well, essentially it's geared towards men. Women are starting to really love it too,
Nice.
which is great. But we're a diaper bag company, more or less. And excuse me. Like you said, we started it from nothing, and this was an idea I had while I was still in the car industry, and my wife was having a second child, and we found out it was a girl, and I knew what that meant for me, and I was going to be carrying the purple bag around again. And I just wasn't having it. I know that you guys listening can't see me, but if you know who I am, or if you check out my Facebook page or Instagram, you'll see that I'm a very heavily tattooed man's man. I'm into guy stuff, dude stuff. I'm not real into girly bags. So I wasn't real excited about the thought of the purple bag again. So I went straight to Google, searching out men's diaper bag, or something cool, military style tactical diaper bag, things that I was searching for, and couldn't find it. And I was like, there's no way in hell that there isn't a bag out there for guys like me. And sure enough, there wasn't. I mean, there's like men's diaper bags, but it was like a gray or black version of a woman's diaper bag, and it still looks like a diaper bag. I'm like, oh my God. So with my...
Not feeling it.
Yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. So with my background in the automotive industry and custom cars and being able to do upholstery and stuff, I made my own bag. And that's where it started. And when I came, I was like, I'm going to start a company around this, because clearly there's a need for it. I'm not the only guy like this. And I wanted to create something for me, which I knew I was solving a problem, and that tends to be a good idea. So I created a brand around it, and we can get into all the details, about all that stuff. But, and that was 4 years ago now, almost 5 years ago, I think.
Wow.
And it's been a long, crazy road. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. It's been super exciting, but a hell of a journey so far. So it's been cool.
When you thought about expanding this enterprise, and so we mentioned your background in the car and the automotive industry a little bit. take us to that, and then let's talk about how you transitioned into this next step in your career.
Sure. So, I started working on cars when I was like 14, 15 years old, and that was like my first business. And I was working out of my parents' garage, and I just moved not too long ago, and I came across the box of like all of my stuff and like my business from when I was 14. And it's super cool, and I don't know exactly where I put it with all the move, but I really want to get my hands on that again because it's really cool.
The roots.
Yeah.
How'd you learn that young to work on cars?
It was just intuitive. Like I just had a knack for cars were cool to me. You know, I was into like bikes, and like I worked at the bike shop for James Bradford at the Bike Doctor.
Yep.
I worked for him all
Oh,
through
wow.
high school,
I didn't
middle
know that.
school. You know, I was into skateboards and rollerblades. I was always taking stuff apart and putting things back together and putting new bearings in my stuff and changing wheels on my bike and fixing chain. Like I was always doing that stuff because I was always tearing it up. And I just had this intuitive ability for the mechanics of things. And then when I got to the point where some of my friends that were a little bit older than me were old enough to get a car, like I wanted to start messing with cars.
Yeah.
So when I was like 14, 15, and my friends
That's
were getting
awesome.
cars, we started playing around with that stuff. And then I got my own car when I was like 16. And I started messing around with that stuff. I won some car shows and things at a super young age, and that was really cool. Nopi Nationals, for the guys that are into the tuner stuff. I was 16, got second place at Nopi National. Like, it was just cool stuff that really fueled the fire at a young age to keep going and keep driving. And
Awesome.
so there were some pretty cool accomplishments at an early age. I was in...
Why the high level? Why did you want to test the high level? What drew you to shows and...
I don't know, it was just cool. And this will kind of come around to what I talked about here in a second, but when I knew that I could have some creative outlet with my mechanical abilities, it led me into doing cool stuff and just not so much just I need to fix this to keep it going, like I'm going to mess with this to make it cooler. And it was what I'm learning now is just an attention game.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody likes a cool car.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's into cars and cool cars, it's an attention thing. Like I want everybody to see my cool car.
Right.
And this is just something that I've kind of recently realized that it's all the same thing I'm doing now. I've just switched gears a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, my creative outlet isn't so much custom cars anymore, it's creating content.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting to think about it that way, right?
Yeah.
But it's really come full circle. For literally in the past week, I've had this epiphany, like, holy crap.
It's interesting to hear you
It's-
say it, that you have that self-awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
To
It
look
was
back
nuts.
and stay in the
So-
moment and realize that.
It's been really interesting to figure that out. But anyway, so I went from doing car stuff at a young age. Then I went to automotive school to learn more about it. I got out of school. I went to work for somebody else for a little while to make some money to pay my bills and stuff like that. And then I saw how well that business was doing, and it was just a regular service repair shop. And I learned a lot there and worked with some great guys there. I was only there for like a year and a half before I was like, screw this, I'm opening my own like real business, not working in my parents' garage business when I'm 14, but like I'm 18 years old, I'm going to start my own business, real business. And so I did. And I was making really good money at the time. I mean, I was like almost six figures at like 18 years old fixing cars. I was really good at it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was like, well, I'm making this much money working for someone else. I'm going to really rake it in when it's mine. I was really wrong about that. And that was a hard lesson to learn in the beginning, but it was the only thing I could do. Like, I just couldn't deal with working for somebody else anymore. Like, it was just, there's politics and all this crap involved when you're working for somebody else and you're tiptoeing around this and somebody said that, but it just, the game. So
at 18, you had this drive, this entrepreneurial...
at 14,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was like, I can't, I've got to do my own thing. I'm going to make all this money. I just saw this huge opportunity. So anyway, when I started my own thing initially, and there was a lot of I had some amazing, tremendous support from people to do it. And then I started, building clientele and people that I worked on cars all through high school were becoming like customers, my real business now. And then the word spread, and I had a MySpace page, and that's how I was trying to get
MySpace, yes.
Yeah, dude.
The back in the day.
Right, and this was called Beav Tech. That was my business then, Beav Tech. And so that was how I was like, yeah, check out my MySpace page. That was where your gallery, right? You showed off your work. And so Then,
MySpace.
so that was like 2003, 2004.
Okay.
I did that for a few years, really struggled along the way, like just kind of doing what I could and all that kind of stuff. Did a lot of import tuner stuff, a lot of, that was a time when Fast and Furious was big, so it was a lot of that kind of stuff, right? A lot of people wanting Lambo doors and exhausts and body kits and stuff like that. So I was doing a lot of that kind of stuff, which was really cool then. I wouldn't do it now because there's no money in it, unfortunately. It's very hard to, anyways, that's a whole other topic, but, and you can cut me off at any time, so I can talk like crazy.
Oh man, this is good.
So, the economy takes a hit 2008, right? Things start really, 2007 starts to climb down, 2008 is just like sucks.
We got crushed here.
It's
in 2008.
Like,
maybe somewhere else it got earlier, but for us here, that's the year I went bankrupt. It was 2008.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, so 2008, it's just like everything comes to a halt. People are losing money. Stock market's crashing. Nobody's spending money on cars, cool custom stuff anymore. And I was like, all right, it's time to switch gears. I need to rebrand my business, and I need to go back to service and repair work because everybody's got to keep their car going at least.
Right.
Now, like no one's making them cool anymore, but they still got to drive them. Right. So I'm going to go back to service repair work and like brakes and timing belts and oil leaks and transmissions and replacing engines and just keeping cars driving. So I rebranded the business as Bluffton Automotive, and with some amazing, I was almost ready to throw in the towel at that point, and I was just so over it, and I was like struggling to pay bills, behind with stuff. I mean, you file bankruptcy, it's like the worst feeling in the world, brutal. And you're like, I'm done with this. And I had some amazing friends, and I got to give a shout out to BG, because he's like, no man, you can't do that, we're going to do this, da-da-da. He got behind me 100%, and he used a few people that he was working with at the time. He's like, man, my buddy's a graphic designer. So he helped me out. He's like, I got you a new logo, da-da-da. And without BG at that point, I probably would have potentially given up. I didn't have enough fire under my own ass anymore because I was just so burnt.
It's a beatdown, man.
It sucks.
It's brutal.
It's tough. So I rebranded it and got the train back rolling and started getting different clientele in the door at that point. And because I was so honest with people, and I wasn't trying to I never tried to sell anybody anything on the car that I wouldn't have done myself in my own car. Like, hey, here's some things that you should be aware of. Here's some things to keep in the back of your mind that maybe we need to address in the future. It's not going to leave you stranded on the side of the road. I wasn't trying to scare them into fixing things like the automotive industry's just jacked. I mean, people are just robbing people of everything. Oh, you need to do this, or you're going to be sitting on the side of no. So it was like, hey, this needs addressed. Here's a few other things to keep in mind. Let's kind of pick away at those as need be. And it honestly not the best business model because I didn't make as much money as I could have, but I built lifetime customers.
There you go.
Lifetime customers. Mm-hmm. And they still will find a way to get in touch with me and ask me, hey, I need something in my car. And I've tried to hide from a lot of the service repair work because that led back into custom car stuff, and we'll get down in that road here in just a second. But I had a customer, it was funny, I was in Jamaica, and I had a bunch of Jamaican customers, they loved me, that she reached out to me and sent me a message through Facebook talking about fixing her car, and she left a little Jamaican flag, and it was really funny because I was in Jamaica at the time, and I was like, oh, this is so weird. She's like, best mechanic that ever happened to Bluffton, I need your help, da-da-da. I'm like, sorry, I can't.
I'm actually in your country right now.
Yeah, it was really weird. So anyways, but I built lifetime customers through trust and loyalty, and
it's a good lesson there. Everybody, pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, you can try to make quick money, but it doesn't last. And I had some really great customers, and they're like, why aren't you charging more? Like the other guy down the street was like $400 more. Why is it so cheap? I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to get rich off of you today. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm trying to get successful, and the money will come with that.
Yep.
And that was my big thing. Like, I'm just trying to be successful, and the money will come. I'm trying to get rich quick. And
how at a young age did you come to these conclusions? Because
I just knew doing the right thing was just how it was going to be. I'd seen being in the industry as long as I had been in the industry at that point, which wasn't terribly long, but
that's about 10 years by then.
Well,
if you were 14.
No, well, I mean, I dabbled with, I didn't know the business at 14, but I was working.
You were around it.
I was around it, but I didn't really get into the car industry as a business until 2003, 2004.
Okay.
2003.
So you've been 5-6 years.
So I had been into it, for about 5 years, which is long enough to see a lot of people get screwed over and a lot of people paying for their cars to get fixed and nothing actually ever really happened and being tricked into things. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that to people. First of all, everybody knows me. I was born and raised here. I'd been there, for 20-something years, 25 years at that point. Everybody knows my parents. Everybody knows me. I've been on all the magazines around here. Like, I am not going to tarnish my reputation to get an extra couple $100. Absolutely not. So, and I was raised right. My parents are like, you don't screw, you do the right thing. Like, that's just part of who I am. Mm-hmm. So, I wasn't scared into doing the right thing. It was just, you do the right thing.
Right.
So,
hustle with integrity, folks. That's the number one.
I mean, you sound intuitive as hell, though. I mean, and that's an advantage, I think, over other people. That you weren't even conflicted with, should I screw these people and make a couple $100?
Listen, there was plenty of times where I could have screwed people and like robbed them blind when I was real desperate for money.
Right.
Sure, I put some sales on a little harder for things that, that need to be done. That, what I mean? It was
maybe.
I'm like, I don't think you should wait on that. Like, I think, again.
Right.
With the right intent, and like I'm not trying to screw people over, but there's definitely times where I put the sales pitch on a little harder to get them to do it now versus later and things like that. But I had to survive, right? So, at any rate, just doing the right thing and building long-time, lifetime customers there, and then the service repair thing, the economy started to come back. People started doing custom car stuff again. And I had a customer that approached me that was doing some really neat things. And we were presented with this really cool opportunity that was a big risk, honestly. And I knew it was a big risk going into it. And it was, basically to turn down all my other business and make this guy my only customer. To build cars just for him, which was building cars for celebrities with a really neat product. And we did that for a while. I said, screw it. The reward outweighs the risk. So if it goes good, it can be really good. If it goes bad, it'll suck, but I'll recover. So I took the risk, and unfortunately it didn't go as planned. And he ran out of money and kind of left me without money because he couldn't pay me, and he was my only customer. Which I learned a valuable lesson there was to not put all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
It really screwed me. Mm-hmm. So at that point...
what year was that? Was that around that same time?
No, that was like, I don't know, 2010.
Oh, okay.
Or so, 11 maybe.
So just back.
11, 12, I don't know, something like that. We were doing some really cool stuff, and it had great opportunities to build some cars. We did build some cars for some really high-end, celebrities and things like that. It was really cool. But that came to an end. But this is where it gets interesting. That opportunity led to relationships that I was able to leverage later. Mm-hmm. So that building those cars for those people and doing the things that we were doing really put me on the map nationwide. As a car guy, not just locally anymore, not just, in the area or the county or, the low country or anything like that. It became, hey, this is the guy that builds those. And it's like, whoa. So I was very well known for that, which led to lots of really cool relationships nationwide within the car industry. And I'll tell you how I use that here in a minute. So that falls apart. And I'm left, screwed me. I'm talking $50,000 in the hole. And I'm like, well, this sucks. I put everything I had up to go into this, thinking it really could work out. And it didn't. And I'm like, I got a kid and all this stuff. I'm like, I need money. If it was just me, I would have hustled through it and kept my business going. I would have had all my service customers back out there. And But we had moved locations. We were so far out there. We had this massive facility. I was 10,000 square foot shop. It was huge.
Dang.
And it was way out of the way. No one's coming for an oil change way out there. Right. I'd have to do a lot of oil changes to keep this 10,000 square. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that I was like, all right. So I have to relocate and get all my customers and let them know I'm all back and da 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 da. I just don't have the capital to be able to do that again. That's it. I'm done. Yeah, I got a family to feed. Again, if it was just me, I would have figured it out. But Brandy and the kids and everybody, I was like, she was one child at the time. So anyways, I called the guys that I worked for when I got right out of school, where I was doing service repair work for the other company, and I said, hey, and I've kept a great relationship with them. I don't burn bridges, you know. Kept a great relationship with them over the years, and I said, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, what's going on, man? What you up to? I said, listen, I'm in a tight spot, and I think I'm closing up. I need a job. He's like, I would love to have you back. When can you start? I'm like, give me a few weeks to get some stuff sorted out and get my things out of here, and I'll be there, you know. So I went back to working for him for a while, and
lesson number 2: don't burn your bridges.
Yeah, right. Well, I went
Not all of them.
back to working for him for a while, and I was bored. I was real bored. I mean, 8 to 5. Like after 5, I was twiddling my thumbs. Like, what am I doing? I'm like not used to this. I'm used to working like 18 hours a day, and I'm working like 8 hours a day, and I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So I started dabbling with some other stuff and just things to keep me busy. Like I had to keep going, everything else. And so I started building custom holsters, Kydex holsters for guns. And that was cool. It was fun. It kept me busy. I had that was my creative, got to build something cool. Create a product and have a finished product at the end. Because I wasn't doing anything cool, like fixing squeaky brakes.
Yeah.
I'm into cool stuff.
Right. Squeaky brakes sound cool.
You know?
Right.
So,
man, that's challenging.
So here's where it gets interesting. That's around the time I found out I was having the second kid. And I found it was another girl. So I created this brand. And I was able to... But I didn't have any money, because I just lost all my money. I didn't have any money to start this brand. So I made holsters to make money to fund the brand. Because I knew I could make holsters and make cash today. And I was just like, everybody's calling me left and right. I need a holster for this, I need a holster for that. Make me a holster, wallets, weird, like all kinds of stuff. So I used that cash to start Tactical Baby Gear. And I don't even know where to go from the story from now. I don't know how this turned into my complete backstory, but it's interesting how this. So guys, listening to this is like the 10 years of build up to get to where I am now. This is how. It's
this
not
is why I asked the question.
Right. This isn't like, it wasn't like, oh, I have this great idea and 2 years later there's a company that's doing really well and successful. It's 10 years of failures and 10 years of doing all kinds of things that build relationships that you use for this, and this guy knows this guy that gets in with that, and da-da-da-da-da. So the relationship that I built, or the relationships and the people I met through building the cars that failed out, that didn't work, I was able to leverage those relationships when I started Tactical Baby Gear. And these are I'm talking about people that have like massive followings on social media, hundreds of thousands, 500,000 followers, tens of thousands of followers, that the gun guys and car guys are like the same community. It's just cool guy stuff, right? Like car guys are into guns and gun guys are into cars, and it all meshes. And so when I had this, and I was like, all right, I got something here. And people were like, I made an Instagram page. I built a whole business on Instagram. I made an Instagram page, and I started putting pictures out there, and I had some following on the car stuff, so I gave myself a few shout outs, and people were like, oh, this is awesome, where can I buy one? I'm like, sweet, people want this, I actually have something here. So then I sent one to a buddy of mine, and I said, hey, I want to send, I know you just found out you're having a baby, this is perfect timing, I'd love to send you one of my bags, would you mind giving me a shout out to your 500,000 followers? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely, no problem. And this is a guy that I met through the car stuff. I would have never met him if I didn't build the cars, and
Right.
So he gave me a shout out like next morning at like 7,000 followers, and things start really snowballing from there. It gave me a ton of awareness and a lot of like really primed the pump for awareness. But it was up to me to execute on the back end of that, right? And we can go into some of that stuff too, because I have tons of thoughts on like awareness and execution. Mm-hmm. But that really primed the pump to like actually get somewhere. So it took like 10 years of ups and downs to like find 2 people to get a little bit of awareness about this new thing. But then it was, it's been 4 years later on that to like of execution. Like awareness is great, but if you don't do anything with that, like once you get the attention, you have to do something with it.
Harness it.
Like you can't get all that attention. People's attention span's super short. I mean, you have it for very little period of time.
Right.
So once you have that attention, you better be ready to do something with it, or it's lost.
Right. I just realized I was nodding for like a minute, but people can't see me nod on that.
You're like agreeing with everything.
Yes, but I didn't say anything.
The whole time he's talking, I'm doing it too.
Yeah.
So
when you,
because I don't want to interrupt him. I'll interrupt.
When you when you look at this, I have so many questions.
I do too.
When you look at the landscape, entrepreneurial, or the magical unicorn of entrepreneurialism right now, it's very hot. Everybody's an entrepreneur. Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't qualify. A lot of people are
they're
practicing
entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs. I like that phrase.
Yeah.
When you look at true entrepreneurs, do you qualify yourself as an entrepreneur? Let's start there. When people ask you, what do you do for a living, what do you say?
Various things, but usually that I own a company.
Own a company. All right.
Right, I own, yeah.
And so with your background in these companies building, failing, question mark? Because I don't think you did. If you learn, you can't fail.
I don't look at things as failures. I look at them as like education.
Lessons.
Yeah.
They're just lessons.
Yeah.
My version, and I tell everybody this.
You just keep the momentum going. I mean, it ebbs and flows. It's ups and downs.
Right.
The down, if you want to say it's a failure, say it's I don't view it as a failure. I see it as like an opportunity to learn something and keep things going up.
Right.
But yeah.
So framing is a huge part of it. So when we're looking at all of this stuff about what makes a business successful or a concept or a human being successful, there's a few things. Can you point to any one thing that you would say attributes to your success as a business owner, and does that also attribute to your success as a man and a father?
Ooh.
We go deep on this podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's good stuff because it's some things that I've actually had on my mind and wanted to talk about. So my answer to something that I've learned as a successful business owner is having other people within the business that are really good at something that you're not. Mm-hmm. Part of the reason I could have done a lot more, I think, in the automotive industry had I had a partner that could actually run the business and do the operation side of it. It let me do what I was really good at, which was building stuff or fixing stuff.
Right.
I am not the best business person, back end operations, books and accounting, and I'm the worst dealing with all that stuff. That bores the hell out of me. I know it needs to be done, and I know how to do it.
Right.
But to me,
I feel like I'm wasting time when I do it.
Right, and I would need to be productive.
Right.
I need to have something finished.
Right.
Not here's this statement or report or so it always got pushed off on the back burner, which has bit me in the ass for sure.
Don't do that.
It's really bit me in the ass, and and I admit that, and that's one of my shortcomings.
Right.
The biggest thing I learned though is with Tactical Baby Gear, I eventually I brought on a partner, and he's the best partner I could ever ask for, and he's an operator. You know what I mean? He really set up the operation side of things and helped build the foundation of the business, and he, I think, enjoys doing all that paperwork stuff. He's really, really good at it, which allows me to do what I'm really, really good at, and then together we grow, versus spreading yourself so thin and trying to do everything.
Yeah.
One of the biggest lessons, though, I've learned for sure, 100%, is surrounding yourself with other people that are good at other things, and so that everyone can do what they're really good at.
So was that intuitive? Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, yeah.
Did you get to a point where you're like, I absolutely need some help with this? Or
yes and no. It wasn't really intuitive on that level because I didn't know I sucked at it yet. I thought I was just I don't know what I thought.
Like it was part of the struggle, maybe.
It was just part of I gotta do this stupid crap. You gotta pay taxes. It sucks.
I paid those last year.
right. So, but I didn't know I sucked at it so bad until I brought him on. I didn't bring him on for that reason. I brought him on because of his experience and his capabilities of sourcing, manufacturing, and managing some of that stuff, which turned into him being an amazing operations guy. I'm like, holy shit, I could have never done this without him.
Right. So, but the virtues in that, the values in that drive that to me are self-awareness number one and humility number two.
Oh yeah.
Because if you don't have those two things, you can't make those educated decisions.
It's data.
Right.
Once you, I guess, are in tune with yourself and you can learn from lessons, learning a lesson from something bad that happened is just like collecting data, which it's like
Right.
anything else you look at.
I don't
like,
think a lot of people look
it's
at it that way,
educated stuff.
Well, that means you have to own the lesson.
Right.
You can't go. You can't.
You
be
have
a
to be able
victim.
to mark that as
Right. You can't be a victim.
right.
You're like, what did I do? What can I do now to make that not happen again?
Or even if you don't feel like it's in your control, short of owning it, you can still look at it, like he's saying, as data and say, well, how do I avoid this?
Mhm.
Even if it's not my fault.
Right, it's
how do I
good,
avoid
bad.
it going forward?
Mhm.
Or what can I pull from it?
But that's still being accountable for it. How do I avoid this again?
Yeah,
You know,
you're
like
right.
not that the world's doing this to me. No, the world doesn't really care one way or the other.
That's something that's come up. He's said it a couple times. Asking for help. Well, you've said it as humility, but it's the same thing. It's crazy to see some people and their resistance.
Yeah, we set a world record for a 1967 Volkswagen 21 window bus at Barrett Jackson in January.
A world record sale.
Sale price. Yeah, it's I think since been beaten. The value of those things just keep going up, and I think at the following auction, somebody sold another one, and they were like, I mean, the prices are just good.
Nevertheless, just to get I just want people to understand the kind of output that you put out.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I like people to understand that all this work and all this integrity goes into a quality product. It's
Right.
just sometimes it's a longer journey,
for sure.
but it's a more sustainable one.
It is. Yeah, and you get lifetime value. I mean, at that point you just have the leverage.
Yep.
You know, because I know that any of these people that I've built these relationships with, like, will support me in any way that I need support in. So yeah, you just build that leverage.
Because you're a good dude who does good things.
Right.
And so, I think a lot of times we mark this hustle as we glorify hustle as first of all, if you're busy, that doesn't mean you're necessarily hustling.
Don't do dumb stuff. I mean,
hustlers produce. You need to
you gotta be
produce.
smart about it.
Right, and you have to be
Aware.
creating value for other people. Let's talk. If you
Let
create
me,
value.
Let me go back to. Let me take a step back. I want to finish my thought on Alex and my partnership and how that came to be. Because I didn't ask him. I asked for some guidance, and then he came in town for the holidays and said, "Hey, I'm coming in town to see my parents for Christmas. I'd love to talk to you more about your stuff." Da da da. And that's when he was like, "I think you really have something here, and I really believe in that.
Mhm.
I'd like to partner with you, and like
Wow.
help you do something with this." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, man, I might really actually have something. Like, someone else thinks it's cool too. Like, this guy's like doing big stuff and selling to Target, and he thinks I got something, so I must really have something."
Right.
And then that's when we got real serious about it, and I quit. I didn't quit focusing on other things, but like I just did other things, and I really focused on that
Mm-hmm.
big time. But
So you were still working and doing this on the side.
yeah, I mean I was doing
That's
this on the
crazy.
side until like this year.
That's crazy.
This was I mean
I
I'm
think
talking
that's
like
important
5,
for people to
6,
understand.
6, 7 p.m. until like 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'd sleep for like 4 or 5 hours, and I'd get up and fix cars all day.
With kids, with another job, with a wife,
Yep. Yep.
and it's just wild. I don't think people. That's what you were saying. Entrepreneurs, they don't. That's the part they don't want to.
Well, it's the things that people don't see that they realize they think it's an overnight success because
Right.
they heard about it one day and it's big the next. And it's not really the next. They see that. I mean, we've had that company particularly has had some pretty rapid growth because we were really smart about things, and when you're really smart about things and you've learned from a bunch of failures in the past, that there's some huge upside to some of the downside. You know what I mean? It's the whole iceberg thing, right? You've seen that analogy before.
Yeah.
Like you see the tip of the iceberg
Right.
above the water, but you don't see everything else below it.
Right.
You know, and I like to use the analogy of failing your way to success.
Mhm.
You know, even though we talk about like you don't view it as a failure, it's a learning point, but for the analogy, it's like you fail your way to success, and that's what we've been able to do. You know, he had failures with his business along the way and learned a lot from it, and I learned a lot from mine, and together we had like we're a force to be reckoned with.
That's right.
Did you encounter any kind of? You said at one point that when the money was down you were thinking about just calling it quits. But since then, what's driven you to continue through those quote unquote failures or learning points? Like, what is there something that you've looked to or relied on or have?
I just love doing it for myself. Like you know, I heard Shane say one day he was just too dumb to quit. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes you feel like you're just too dumb to quit. Like,
Right.
like duh. Like
Like the only option is to keep moving.
yeah. But like, I don't feel that I'm too dumb to quit. I just don't know anything else. Like, when I'm working for somebody else in that environment, it's just suffocating. I have no freedom and flexibility, like, do anything I want to do. I have to do everything their way. Like,
Right.
I'm not a guy that follows the rules.
Right.
My parents will tell you that. My teachers in school will tell you that. The principals will tell you that. I'm covered head to toe in tattoos. Like, I don't go by the general box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm outside that box. So when I'm in, like, working for another company's environment and having to play by their rules, it sucks for me. I can play the game for a while, but
There are personality traits, and so I'm kind of introverted by nature. I like to regroup. I wake up at 5 in the morning and read quietly before I start producing whatever I want to produce. And I make sure that I wake up really early so I can give everybody else my time. But I do take a little bit of self-time like you were talking about.
huge.
But the biggest thing that I enjoy about owning things is the opportunity to create solutions to the problems that look like they would wreck anybody else. Like, we should literally be out of business probably 5 or 6 times. And when I went bankrupt and we had a property company, those were just super dumb decisions on my part the entire time we quote unquote were in this business together. That was just me being an idiot and learning all sorts of lessons and feeling like a massive failure. And I wanted another shot because I didn't believe I believe that I could still do it. I could still win.
Right.
So I lost everything and started over in the middle of a recession, opening a gym that nobody could afford to go to, who I'd ever heard of.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody told me, that's not going to work.
You're crazy.
Right. And here we are.
Hey, you're not going to do it, or you can't do it, or it's not going to work is super motivating, isn't
Right.
it?
Good. Then I'll be the first one to do it.
Like, watch this.
Right.
Like, hold my beer. Watch this.
Right. Right. So
Uh-huh.
when we look at, when you look at the traits of, and I think they're great human traits, testing resilience, and there's many ways to do it. You can do it in an office job for somebody else too. I'm not saying you can't. But for some people, the only way to find contentment is to meet challenges, to have ownership of them, and to create your own solutions. Well, other people, contentment is 9 to 5 for somebody else, and then free time after that, that's totally fine too.
Whatever makes you happy.
Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
the same things that make me happy aren't going to make you happy.
Right.
And like, you're not going to find me getting up at 5 a.m. and read. Like, I don't read books.
Right.
You read all the time.
Right.
You love it. Like,
Right.
Not me.
Right.
Like, if I see an email come through that's more like 3 sentences, I'm like,
I'm out.
screw this. Same with writing an email or something. Like, you're getting 2 sentences from me and that's it, not this long drawn out paragraph that,
Right.
like, I'm just straight to the point.
But you know your lanes too. So when you put out content, and hopefully you'll tell everybody where to find you. I'm sure you will. But when you put out content, a lot of it is entertaining. Video, always fun, always open. And now you're starting to go into teachable moments too with what you've gone.
So to that point, I mean, the content that I'm putting out, like you said, I've got several places you can find me. You can follow Tactical Baby Gear stuff and see what the company's doing, and that's on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube and all that stuff, and it's all just Tactical Baby Gear. And then more the personal brand stuff like you're talking about that I'm starting to really dive deeper into now that I feel like I have some validity and something to actually talk about and can bring some value to people because I've been there and I've done that, and I think I have things that people can learn from some of my failures and some of my successes to kind of help them along the way, because I feel like a lot of the failures I had was because I didn't really have the help along the way. I had support and like, oh, you can do it, and like cheerleaders, but nobody to like show me how.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So, and all that stuff, the personal stuff is on Beav Brodie. It's BeavBrodie on Facebook and Instagram.
Why is it important for you to give back, help out?
Dude, the world has given me so much that I enjoy it. But two, I just like when you get a message or a phone call or see somebody out that's like, dude, saw that video you did and I started doing it and it's working and like I'm getting this happening or results from that or I made some money or like it's like
Sweet.
and all I had to do was make a 2-minute video saying, hey, don't forget to do this, and like somebody got something out of it. It's really cool. It's really cool. And I don't know, I enjoy it. Like I think it goes back to just doing the right thing and building trust and loyalty within people and building like lifetime value with people, because you never know when you might need some support.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because it goes, and I tell this to people too, it goes down to all the marketing stuff that I talk about. It's like, nobody knows what you're doing. You got nothing.
Right.
Like,
yeah, the coolest thing in the world and nobody knows about it.
Like, I've got friends that are out there trying to sell mortgages and stuff, but nobody knows they sell mortgages.
Right. Gotta get out there, bro.
Like, if you're a mortgage broker or you're a realtor or you're a car salesman and nobody knows that that's what you do and you're relying on just like that guy to call you, it's never going to happen. You're going to be filing bankruptcy.
Right.
Like, go out there and get it. Talk about it. You don't have to get everybody you come in contact to use you for something, but at least everybody has to know about it, because they may not need you now,
Right.
but in 6 months they'll be like, oh, you know what? That's the dude I'm talking to, because now I need him.
I just got asked to, just now before this podcast started, so I got a text from an old friend who runs a magazine. Hey, can you write a piece on motivation for January? Yeah, done.
Right.
Done. She says, hey, feel free to charge me. Instead of charging her, we're going to leverage that into something maybe a little bit bigger together, because it's
Right.
fun that way.
Right.
I don't need the money for that article.
Right.
You know, I would rather have more fun with my friends and work. So these are it's always relationships.
It's
always,
networking, and I
Right.
talk a lot about networking, and there's another something here I'm looking for in my head, but I was starting to lose my thought there. But networking is huge, and networking is just building relationships.
And that's a dirty word sometimes. For me, when I go, it's about sharing. Like, and I would rather sit in a corner, have a one-on-one conversation, just listen to what you do. Listen, because when people are passionate about what they do, I'm all in. Like, I just
Right.
dig passion. When they're not, I listened to a guy talk about fracking 2 weekends ago.
What's
fracking? Where he was looking for gas. He
Okay.
spent 4 years in basically the wilderness of this country fracking, and the science behind it, and I don't care if you agree with fracking or not, the knowledge and what it took for this to happen, and this guy's stories,
Gangster, huh?
wow. And that's what
You learn a lot of crap when you're listening. You can't learn a lot when you're talking.
Exactly. And it was really, really cool. So Jake, you wanted to say something, I
was going to ask about networking. I think when some people hear it, they think, oh, I just put myself out there and network. They don't really know what that means. But you said building relationships, and that's
it. And that's why I said
back and forth.
That's
it's an
why
exchange of information.
It is. I mean, it's just a contact. It's somebody. You know, when you create a network of people, right, that know things or do things, or a network of people throughout an industry or whatever, it's just building relationships.
Spider web of awesome.
Of all these people, which is why I said, I didn't say I went out and networked with a bunch of people in the car industry.
Right.
I built relationships with these people. And again, it comes to a lifetime value of a customer, right? It's like lifetime value of a customer is X. Like lifetime value of relationships that you build, if you're doing the right thing, it's forever. And then when you need something, of course they're going to help you.
Right.
You're building allies.
Yeah.
I don't know another way to say
Yeah,
it.
you were in the military.
Yeah.
We got allies. Like,
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's a network. It's like, it's relationships.
Yeah, but it's not, networking itself is not a magic wand. Like, you can't just go to meetings and then expect shit to happen.
You got to be a person.
You gotta know when to tap certain people, or
I was out in LA not too long ago. This was a really funny networking tip. I was out in LA at something called Vid Summit, and there was a bunch of great speakers there. Gary Vee was there. Sean Duras is a huge YouTuber. He got big on Snapchat, and like when Snapchat was first came out, and then he moved over to YouTube. And he's got like millions of subscribers on YouTube, and he makes these great videos. And really funny stuff. He's a super smart guy. He doesn't let you. You don't see him as a super smart guy initially. You're like, this guy's nuts. He's super smart. Anyways, he goes, all right, guys, you're at this big conference. There's all these great people here. He's like, you need to get out there and network with everybody, meet everyone. And this is what I want you to do. You're going to, after I get done talking, you're going to go out there and you're going to talk to somebody. And every 5 minutes, you're going to be looking for the food. He's like, so he's like, you talk to somebody for 5 minutes. They're like, anyways, I came out here for some food. You seen the food? And you go find somebody else to talk to for 5 minutes. And then you're looking for food again. He's like, so it gets you out of it. Every 5 minutes you can move instead of getting stuck for 30 minutes.
Right.
Just kind of get through a bunch of people and learn and see. And this is somebody.
Tactic.
Yeah, it's a cool networking tactic from the good old Sean Duras. It's pretty funny. Looking for food, the coffee, something.
Right.
Like, I've seen the coffee.
I really have to piss. I really have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I really gotta pee. Yeah. See ya.
Do you have any interest in that, like bringing those type of events together? Or just
I think
going
events
to
are huge. The only events on my radar recently is doing something here locally on some like marketing stuff because I'm so in tune with it, and so many people are reaching out to me now that I'm putting out a lot about it.
Yep. Instead
of answering questions one by one through Facebook and Instagram messages and text messages, I'd rather have like a small seminar with 30 people and just go gangster deep into it.
Let's do it here.
We can do it here.
You got room.
Yeah.
We'll get chairs and make it official.
Yeah, I'd
We'll
love
make
to
it.
do.
We'll dress the place up a little bit.
Do something like that. But I think events are huge. I mean, there's nothing better than events because you get the opportunity to network, which is how I met all these people that I was able to build these relationships with, was by going to trade shows and conferences and traveling to go. Like, it's expensive when you go to Vegas 2 times a year, every year, and spend thousands of dollars. But the value out of that, if you do it right, is tenfold.
Right.
There's some things it's just hard to put like an ROI on today until you realize 10 years later that, like, holy shit, the guy that I'm doing this with now, that we're made millions of dollars together, I forgot that we actually met at this trade show in Scottsdale.
Right.
And you're like, it was such a waste of money then to go $2,500 for 2 days of this thing, but then you don't realize it, like, I met this guy and now we're doing, like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Shane loves him, our boy that we were just talking about earlier. Shane from
Fuel
Clothing. Check it out.
And it's just the long game, right? You can't think of everything as like, what do I get out of this tomorrow?
Right.
So, it's a bit of a business question, and if there's anything that you don't want to answer, that's fine. You said that you made the first bag, but then how does it go from that to like mass production? Like,
that's where partners come in. No. So it goes from that to finding a factory. We had to locate a factory. And
how long were you making them by hand before you did that?
Not very long, because I couldn't scale it. Like, I was still building custom cars, and I was, I had a job, and I was doing holsters, and I was doing some side work at the time. Like, I was all over the place.
Yeah.
There's no way I had time to sit there and make bags, right? So I didn't make very many myself. I started outsourcing some stuff.
How'd you, let's say you were doing Kydex holsters. I'm trying to think of a good way. I'll just ask about the bags. How did you decide, we need to find someone to do this? And like, how
when we knew we had something, and I knew that I couldn't do it anymore. I think it goes back to self-awareness. So, like, there's no possible way that I'm going to create enough bags on top of everything else I'm doing, because I'm not going to be able to take any money out of the company right now, because we need to put it back into the business to make more bags, to buy more bags, to do marketing, to grow it.
I guess what I mean is there's not a website that says, hey, do you have a at-home product and you want to mass produce?
It's
Call this number.
Google.com.
And you just started looking for a manufacturer?
Yeah, well, this is where my partner comes in, right? But yes, you can look up factories like Bag Factory, something factory. Like, Google will give you results, and you can start finding and weeding through things like that. Actually, one of the very first phone calls I made when I asked Alex for some advice, and he was like, well, you're going to have to find somebody to manufacture it, because you'll never be able to scale it and get anything done by yourself with all the things you got going on. So find a factory.
Okay.
So one of the calls I made was to another guy, a relationship that I was able to acquire through car business, through another guy that got to this guy who knew who I was because of X, Y, and Z car stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I called him, and he was the founder of a huge tactical gear company. And I said, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? I'm like, I started this company. This is what it's called, and this is what we're doing. He's like, oh, man, that's great, you know. I was like, I'm looking for some manufacturing. I don't know where to go. You know me from cars. I don't know bags. Like, what do I do here? And he was like, oh, there's a place in North Carolina called this. There's a place in Texas called that. There's a place here. We
That's awesome.
do this, da-da-da. So he gave me some contacts. So it's just asking.
Again.
Ask.
Yeah.
You know? So, so I started using one of the companies that he recommended to me, and then when Alex actually came on as a partner, he's like, listen, I got a great contact for manufacturing. We're going to use my guy. Okay. So then that led to other manufacturing. It's just asking. Like, there's no such thing as a stupid question,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have relationships with people.
Mm-hmm. They're ready to help. Are you satisfied with that answer, Jake?
Yeah,
'Cause
I have so
you
many
got his
questions,
wheels turning.
But yeah,
We've been talking for almost an hour. Should probably start to wrap it up a little.
We just got started.
I know. It goes by quick, doesn't
we
it?
have like
It does.
We're gonna have to do like
4 hours.
we're gonna have
of
to do
questions
like
in my
B
head.
part 50 and
Yeah.
55. So
Let me,
Go ahead.
while you're thinking of this summation, what's some of the worst advice that you've been given? Or, yeah,
I don't know, but let me wrap up. Let me give you guys a couple of good things.
okay.
We talked about failures and success and all those things. I think that failing your way to success, but I think that I was told something a while back that was you can't fail fast enough. You don't want to take a long time for something to fail. You want you want to know it's going to work or not as soon as you can,
Right.
which goes back to like either intuition or data. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I know this isn't working. Don't be married to your idea. Like, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Kill it and move on. Same thing with data. Like, if you look at the data and you're like, all right, this sucks, kill it. I do that a lot within the marketing stuff, right? You run a Facebook campaign, you're like, all right, this sucks, next. Like, kill it and move on to the next one as fast as possible. Speed. I mean, you guys hear, like, if anybody's listens to Gary Vee, and you're like, half of what I'm saying is exactly the same thing because it's true.
right.
Like, I'm not saying it because he says it, I'm saying it because it's my experience, but it happens to sound exactly the same because it's the truth.
Right.
But micro speed, like super fast day to day, like make those decisions quickly and move on them. And then macro patience, like it's not going to happen tomorrow, overnight. Like the big picture doesn't happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know? And then I think on a macro is a puzzle, right? And I tell a lot of people, you can't just do one thing in the business. You have to have all the pieces of the puzzle in place to be able to look at the big picture. You can't just have the border, and you can't just have corners done. You have to have all the pieces of the puzzle in place. You have to have the website has to work right. It has to convert customers. The marketing has to get traffic there. It goes back to what I said about once you have that attention, what do you do with it? Like, if you don't have the rest of it figured out, it was all for nothing.
Right.
You know, all the efforts of getting attention, all the efforts of sending traffic to your website, all the efforts of putting the website together but then never sending traffic to it. You know, like just all the pieces of the puzzle have to be in place for it to do anything, to be able to see the big picture, for the engine to run. Like, it just has to be there. So those are a few good key points that I want to make sure that everybody hears. And really where I feel like I'm finally getting going, and we're about to end the show, and I'm super bummed. But
Well, we can keep going if you got time.
I got all the time right now. I'll make time for you, but I want to see if there's any other good key points. And maybe we edit this a little bit. We cut out some of the crap that people don't need to hear my 4-hour backstory.
No, that's all good.
You know, but I want to make sure that everybody here's more, or we can keep recording and we'll just make a part 2 of it. If you, whatever we want to do. I've got video from it. You guys can see that on Facebook. Like, I'm gonna chop this up into some video, so I'll make sure that any other good points get out there as well, and we won't miss it.
I think the
people
backstory is important for
it's the setup to how I got to where
Right.
I am and the successes we're having.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think people throw that away a lot.
Yeah.
So what Jake and I talk about all the time is honoring your past, forgiving yourself, your past, learning from your past, putting the rocks down and moving forward. And when you got through your lessons, these are your lessons built you into the position you are now. And so when you look at what you're learning now, what are the lessons you're taking away that are going to build you in a future 2, 3, 5? Do you, when you look macro down this lane now, down this tunnel, what are you seeing? Where do you want to see yourself be? And I'm not saying what's my 10-year plan. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'm saying, do you have an end game in your mind about where you see yourself?
This is a really funny question, and I have a really odd answer, maybe, because that's kind of goes to like, what are your goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have goals. Like, other people might have a particular goal in mind of like, this is what I want to accomplish. I don't have it. I don't. I just want to. I just want more right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the end game is. I don't have a line in the sand of like, once I.
You don't know if you want to buy the Jets or not.
Yeah, that like
Gary
I don't
Vaynerchuk.
have that goal. I don't have that end game. Like, I just want more. I'm hungry for more.
More what?
More of the grind, more of the business, more of the hustle. And it's not even like the money is nice, but like, I was doing this when I wasn't making money too, so it wasn't
Right.
You know, like, I just want to be successful. I think I just want to be known for doing certain things. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. So right now I'm just talking out of my ass because I don't have the right
That's
answer.
awesome.
But I don't know what my goal is. You know, what do I see myself in 2, 3, 4, 5 years is like more of the same. And what I'm learning now that might get me there is like, we've learned a lot of things that work, and we're doubling down on the things that do work. We're finding out what doesn't work, and we scrap those, and we double down on the things that do work. And that's what's allowed us to grow and to scale and to like quadruple in size in 3 years. Has been absurd. It's been
Right.
nuts, and it's having the right people in place. You know, again, you can't do it all yourself. You got to have those other pillars. Having the right people in place and doubling down on what you're finding out works, and testing new things along the way, because you might find something that works even better that you want to double down that works even better. So you can't be like, get stuck and set in your ways by like, oh, well, this works, I'm just going to hit cruise control and we'll just keep doing this until something else or somebody tells me to try something else. Like, I'm constantly trying other things in the background and testing it and see what the results are like, and it's like, oh, whoa, that works way better than what I'm doing, let's do
Right.
that. You know, in terms of like, I don't know, marketing or efficiencies somewhere else, or like, whoa, that's such a time saver, we need to change this.
How did you open up communications with the band Spot, and when you did your little Utah tour, and so I think a lot of people.
Networking.
Okay. And
Trade shows.
Was it okay? So at a trade show.
Yeah.
So it's.
I've been trying to get in touch with him. He was a perfect influencer for us. Great, perfect demographic. He's got a little kid. His wife was having another baby. I was like, I've got to get in touch with this dude. I've got to do some stuff with him. And I couldn't. He's like impossible to get in touch with. And I reached out to a connection I had at Black Rifle Coffee. He works closely with Black Rifle Coffee. And I was like, listen, I've been trying forever to get in touch with Vaughn. How do I get in? She was like, I'll pass your info along to him. Like, give me, So I'm in Atlanta at the NRA show, and I've got this really weird knack for like seeing people in these massive crowds and like these trade shows, and I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so, oh, that's so-and-so. I saw his beard like in my peripheral vision, like behind me, and he was like looking the other way. Literally, I saw like a profile of his beard. And I turned around, I'm like, Vaughn! And he's like, oh, I'm like, hey, I'm Beav. He's like, dude, that's so weird. He's like, shows me his phone, and he's like, dude, I'm literally looking at your information right now that Chelsea sent me from Black Rifle. So
That's
I was like,
crazy.
cool, super nuts. So then we hit it off, we talked there, and then we followed up right after that. Again, following up after some of those
Yeah.
people that you meet, you just exchange information, strike while the iron's hot, move fast.
Right.
That's, again, fast speed right now. Strike while the iron's hot, and that grew into a great relationship, and now we do a lot of stuff with him, and
Yeah, it seems fun. You guys seem like you'd be
it's a good
pretty
time.
similar.
It's a good time for sure.
Yeah.
Good time for sure.
But that's because a lot of people put out these asks and ask for an influencer or anything like that, but my way when I talk about it is there's always gatekeepers. I don't go right to the person.
Mm-hmm.
I try to find out who the gatekeepers are,
Right.
and then get to know about it. I take my time. So, and if I'm going to do a big ask, I want to know where it's going with, and then I'm going to be persistent with the ask. Like, what can I, instead of asking, what can I give? What can I help with first?
Yeah.
Hey, I've noticed this.
Provide the upfront value, and then
Right.
Yeah.
Not. Can you?
Hey, will you do this for me?
Yeah. Like, who the hell?
Yeah.
Who
Like,
cares?
why should I do that for you?
Why do I
Who are
care
you?
about- right.
Yeah.
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 So,
Sounds like a little brother or little sister.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
hey, do this for me.
but
Take
because
me
it's
to the mall.
intimidating to start those conversations at first, because you don't know how to do it, especially as a young in whatever you're doing.
Well, as he's demonstrated, you can't go wrong with just doing the right thing for that person.
There you go.
If that's what you start there, if in doubt,
Right.
start there.
Yeah.
Just reach out to him and say, "How can I help you?"
Yeah, and to his point, it was a business thing. You know,
Sure.
like it was like, hey, I need you to do this. I'll pay you for it.
Mhm.
Like that was the value exchange, right?
Right.
It's a value exchange.
That's what I mean. I've crafted what I'm going to say, and I've told him that I'll pay him for it. I'm asking for 15 minutes of his time.
Yeah.
I'll pay you for it, or donate to a charity or something. Like, I will pay you to hear what you have to say for 15 minutes. It's worth it to you, you know. And they just wrapped up their season, so I'm going to send that out and see what happens, because that's
Yeah,
priceless information to me.
for sure.
So what does that cost? And if I can afford it, I'll pay it, or figure out a different
Some
way.
people's value of time is totally different.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
So, how do you balance all of this with your family?
Listen, dude, I'm selfish. I'm really bad with work-life balance. I'm the worst. And, like, I'm sure my wife wants to kill me sometimes because I'm like, just 5 more minutes. I'm like, another hour trying to get something done. But it's all with good intent. You know what I mean? Like, and I say super selfish, and I think everybody needs to be selfish to a point. Because, and I just told a guy this the other day who was like, he's like trying to grow his business and get somewhere, but he wants to donate to all these charities. And I'm like, listen, dude, you got to take care of yourself first before you can help these other people. And it's the same way for anybody listening. Like, you have to be selfish. You have to take care of yourself, make sure that you're happy with yourself, you're happy with how things are, you're happy inside, because you can't possibly help somebody else if you're not good.
Right.
And the same thing I was telling him about his business. I'm like, you can't donate to this charity when you go out of business because you're donating all this money. Like, you need that money to grow the business, and then you can really start to do something. But until you've got your feet on the ground and have a solid foundation, like, don't be giving away your money. Like, I know it seems like the right thing to do and you want to feel good about it, but you've got to be good first before you can help others. The same reason you put a mask on yourself on the airplane before you start helping other people. Because if you fall over and die, or if, you know, I'm pissed off and miserable all the time, I can't possibly, like, make my kids happy if I'm this grumpy, pissed off dad. Because,
Right.
But if I, like, get to do what I want to do and work through the week and do the things that make me feel good, then, like, I'm the best dad ever.
Right.
Because I'm, like, happy. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go there. Let's go to trampoline park. Let's go take
Yeah.
a vacation. Like,
Right.
let's go do fun stuff. I'm good. Versus, no, I don't want to do that. I'm super selfish, man.
Well, you take your time up front so you can deliver it back on the back end.
For sure. And right now it's a long game. Like, and this is, like, honest truth and not probably the right thing to say, but, like, I don't give my family a ton of time now. I give them some. Like, there's not, like, I, like, ignore them or anything, but, like, I don't give them the time that they really want. But I know that in, like, the next 5 years, when I'm, like, really good, they'll get way more of me than they could ever want.
Right. I want you to go back to work.
Yeah, they'd be like, all right, leave us alone. But that's what I'm trying to build for. Maybe that's my goal, right? To where I can get to the place where, like, then I can spend more time with them.
Yeah.
But right now, it's kind of like selfish me time. I'm putting in the upfront work for the long game in mind. Where, like, it's the right intent to be selfish, and it'll pay off in the future for the whole family, not just me.
Right.
And you keep giving back with your selfish, quote unquote, ways.
It's weird, right?
That little dichotomy.
Do you think the ability to give back is a byproduct of the success that you've had? Or were you like that?
Yeah, the ability to talk about it,
Yeah.
that educates people.
Yeah.
Had I not gone through a lot of it and, like, come from from nothing and up and then down again and then up and then down again and then up, like, going through that gives me something to talk about, which educates people, which gives me the ability to talk about it. If none of that had ever happened, I was just Joe Blow working, doing something else, I wouldn't be talking about it.
So do you find it internally paradoxical that someone could look at your situation and you look at it completely differently, which is, I think, awesome. Do you think anyone could say, well, what does he know? Because he's tried this and failed, and tried this and failed, but now he's got this one thing and it's working. So what does he really know? As opposed to you, and
I can tell you what doesn't work.
I'm striving to look at it from your way.
Yeah.
For myself, but I get caught up on shit from the past, like, well, who the fuck am I to say how to do anything? Because I've tried things, but I don't really, like, I still look at other people like you, and who are much further ahead, and it's like, well, why would I say anything when I'm just gonna, like, it's what you would say, basically, with more experience. You know what I mean?
I think it comes down to communication and connection. So people connect with different things in different ways. Craig might connect with somebody that's saying the exact same thing better than he's connecting with me, for example. Like, you and I are saying the exact same thing. He may just have more of a connection to you than he does to me.
I see.
And vice versa, you know. Or, again, communication. Like, maybe you don't want to talk about it. Maybe you want to write about it.
Right.
Maybe you want to do your podcast, right? I don't listen to podcasts. I'm a visual person. Like, I watch video. I create video. I don't write things. I don't read things. Like, I listen to things when I can't watch video, airplanes, things like that, like, you know, like whatever. I think there's a lot of value in like, hearing things and audio because you can multitask, but I don't tend to do it. Like, I'll put my phone, like, on the counter and let it play because I want to have the ability to look over and see what I'm hearing because I connect with it better. Me listening to something a lot of times goes in one ear and out the other. So I have to, like...
So you know that.
I know that.
So you don't try to be everywhere. You're not trying to write a blog and...
Heck no.
And write a book.
Now, I do have a blog, but I don't write it.
Right.
Somebody watches my videos. Barry watches my videos, and then he writes a blog post for me. Okay. And then I post it with my video. So on my website, and that gives you good SEO, search engine optimization. Somebody's searching for something. Oh, my website pops up. Oh, and there's a video to go with it, so you can read it if you want. You can watch the video if you want. Thankfully, with video, you can listen if you're somebody who wants to So, I'm getting a little bit of the best of the both worlds there. But again, I think just, you know, people connect with different kinds of communication and different kinds of content and different people. You know, somebody might not find me interesting, but they might find you interesting, so maybe they'll listen to it from you and not me. I don't know.
You guys are both interesting.
So disregard doubt.
I'm way sexier. Just kidding. I can't compete with that.
Disregard doubt as you go. Is that what
Dude,
you're saying?
just go. Like, just do it. We talked about this, like, people needing permission. Like, you don't need like, if you want to do it, do it.
Give yourself permission. Stop asking for it.
You don't need permission from anybody. Just do it. And the haters are going to hate. And,
blah, blah, blah.
Like, don't let people, like, I know people are looking at my stuff, like, laughing at me, like, is he kidding me right now? But tons of people that I'm getting messages from love it.
Right.
So that's what keeps me going.
How do you, when you get that comment on the social media or any kind of weird thing that you know it's designed to be negative?
Negative?
Yeah.
You know what I do? I like the comment. Every time. I'm like,
do you ever engage?
It's like putting a screw. I'm like, I just like it. Like, no, I don't go back and forth with them. I don't, like, try to put them down. I think it just makes me look worse if I did that.
Yeah.
I just
it's a waste of time too.
I like their comment so they know that I saw it and I acknowledge it, and it's kind of like a middle finger to them. Like, yeah, okay, whatever, F you, pal. Like
right.
I love it. It's the best.
Probably robs the joy out of a lot of the trolling too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a like you said, it's a longer game. It's a bigger game.
Dude, it's so funny. I don't know this for a fact, but like I'm sure that it turns a lot of people's minds around, like when they're like, oh, this dude sucks, or this or that, or blah blah blah. And when you like it, and they're like, oh, like, okay, this guy's got like
a good sport.
Yeah, like, and we've turned a lot of negativity, not even negativity. Tactical Baby Gear, for example, like we'll take a negative comment or something, and publicly reply to that with something so crazy on the positive side that it completely changes that person's mind, and then everyone else that reads that's like, holy shit, this company is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm buying stuff from them. Because people speculate, like, I'll give you a good example of one real quick. We had a guy who got a bag. We sell thousands and thousands of bags a month. There's going to be a certain percentage that are defective.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing volume, there's going to be like a 1%, so he gets a bag, there's like Velcro's peeling, like the stitching on the Velcro is bad or something, if I remember right, and the Velcro's coming off. He's like, oh, this shit, Velcro's peeling off, something. And I'm like, nope, putting that fire out. And this is on Instagram. He makes a post about it, tags us, like, he's going to be Mr. Big Shot and call out the company that makes the bag, and he's so cool. So I comment on, I'm like, hey man, we stand behind our products 100%, we'll be happy to take care of it. All you had to do is email us. Give him the email address, and he sends the email. And like the next day we had him a brand new bag, told him to keep that one. Like, hey, keep that as a backup, I don't need it back. Here's a brand new bag. We offer a lifetime warranty, of course we're going to honor that. We send him a brand new bag. He deletes the old post, makes a new post saying how awesome we are.
Yep.
He tells everybody to buy from us.
Yep.
It's that simple. It goes back to doing the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you charge him shipping on that? No, I'm just kidding. No, that's awesome.
Because now he's going to be a lifetime customer, an advocate for the brand. I mean, it's just doing the right thing.
I think that's the title of the podcast. Beav Brodie doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I like that. What else you got? You got anything else for the legend?
I don't know.
When I say legend, I'm talking about you, Beav.
Oh, you guys are so kind.
Beav, do you
I thought there was someone else in the building.
One, we'd love for you to come back.
Yeah,
anytime.
well, you guys listening, make sure you... I don't do podcasts really, so I don't know if there's comment section or if there's like email, whatever.
I don't know either. We should probably look at that.
Listen, you guys, make sure you let them know.
We have zero metrics on this.
If you want to be back on, I'd love to be back on. I'm here anytime you want. And there's always more of me to be had on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, the Beav, would you mind telling them where to find you again? And do you have anything coming up that you want to tell anybody about?
Yeah. While you're thinking about that, find Conviction Strong Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, SoundCloud. We're on Instagram. Craig's on Facebook and Instagram, Craig Heisel, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Jake Walsh, and Show Your Metal. And then,
so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Beav Brodie. And again, that's B-E-A-V, like a beaver, Brodie, B-R-O-D-I-E. I'd love for you to come like and subscribe to all my stuff. I'd appreciate that.
and YouTube, you said?
And YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just started YouTube. So, I don't know, I'm not going to get started on a whole other topic. You guys, I could go forever.
Ever. That's why we need you back.
Yeah. There's
I was going to ask you.
Next time, let's get into some tactics. Like,
Okay.
This was a good backstory.
Okay.
And I think leading up to, like, we could get deep.
Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, SEO, marketing, manufacturing,
Platforms,
posturing,
social.
Yeah. I have so many questions.
Okay. So next time that Beav comes on the show, we're going to talk tactics. This one was about doing the right thing, and then we'll talk about tactics for doing it.
And
the right
strategy.
thing. Right.
Yep.
Layering tactics in with strategy.
All the things.
All the stuff, all the time.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
Since you don't have anything going on, you should start a marketing consulting agency.
I actually have one.
Hey! Check that out.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. I'm not.
If we are going to do this too, and if you have questions for Beav regarding tactics,
let's send some questions in.
Let's do that.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll do some questions, and we'll build up this episode. Maybe give this one about a month to sit, and then talk again in January and let people kind of, I don't know if your schedule's open in January, but let people kind of build up into this and rock it out. Because they'll have some questions too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They meaning the awesome people that listen to us.
All you awesome guys.
Stop being quiet out there.
I'm nodding.
Yeah, you're a good room now. All right, Beav, thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Anytime.
You guys, thanks for listening. I really appreciate all of your attention. These guys do too. I'm excited to come back, so get your questions ready.
Jake, you stay handsome.
Bye.
I hope you got something out of that. I would love it if you subscribe on YouTube, hit the like button, share it with somebody you think needs to hear this message. Make sure you follow the guys from Conviction Strong Radio, and wait for the next one.